Hi there, it's Zephyr again, and I just wanted to make a quick video today, and we're just going to very quickly go over a pretty basic topic today. So last time in my startup guide, I did very briefly touch on making multiple maps, and your probably first question is, well, how am I going to make my character travel from one map to another? So I just want to very briefly touch on this today. This will very briefly get into the eventing system that RPG Maker has. And again, you can do this on any RPG Maker engine as far as things are concerned. There is some more advanced guides that I may go into later, but because events are such a massive undertaking, I thought I'd start with some very simple stuff today. So what we want to do is we have this map here, and I want to connect it to this map here. So we've got two maps here. Not named the best, but these are my two maps here. They're sort of test maps of mine. I'm like, okay, how will I make the character go from one side to another? We're going to very briefly just go into a teleport event today. So from RPG Maker, I think it's VX8 and onwards. If you right click on any grid here, do make sure that you're not on map view. Make sure you're on event view. So make sure you're on event view where you see this grid on here. Now you want to select where your character wants to teleport. So for example, I want my character to teleport from this side of the map here. It's a bit hard to see with my face here, so what I'll do, I'll actually switch to the other map here so you can see it a lot better on the right hand of the screen here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to right click here. And yeah, in VX8, as I said, and onwards, I think also VX maybe, if you right click, you'll see something that will say quick event creation. Now you can create a transfer event using this, and it's honestly fine to do. It's going to auto generate you an event, and it's going to bring up this window, and it's going to say transfer. So you just click where it says location, you just click here, and then you just select the place you want the player to be teleported to. And you just select here. And when it says direction, this means the direction your character will be facing once they've teleported. Obviously, we want the character facing to the right because they'd be going rightwards. So select direction right, and then they'll be facing the correct way. If you were doing like a dungeon or something that was like a maze, something a little bit more advanced, you may want to use retain. If you're doing like a maze and it sort of like teleports you, I don't know, to somewhere different. Normally you wouldn't use retain though. It'd usually either be down, left, right, up. So I'm going to select right for now. And I'll just move over to the right here. I'm going to set up, it's going to be a little bit hard to see here, but we'll just go quicker event creation transfer. And then we'll go to common tiles, map here. We'll do this one, but this time we'll make the character face left. Just be very careful with your event properties. You can right click the event and see what it's generated. Make sure that this isn't saying event touch under trigger. So you see where you see trigger. So right click, edit the event. And where you see trigger here, make sure it's not saying event touch, because if it is and you teleport on top of it, it's going to cause a lot of problems there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this event working here. So starting position player. Right, so we're in the game right now, and obviously if we move to the right here, we see that our event is just here. Hopefully you can see my cursor. But you see my event is here. If we move to the right, it's going to teleport us to the right. And that's where we'll be there. Right, so let's get out of that. Right, so we know that it works. But how do you put an event in manually? I think you already may have noticed when you hit edit here, but you can already see what the events auto-generated, and it hasn't generated much. I'm just going to go very quickly over it without going into too much detail of how the event pages work too much for now. I'm just going to show you how to do it manually. So what you want to do is you want to right click and hit new. You want to, you'll have this page brought up with you. So you want to make sure on this page here, you see where it says priority. You want to make sure that it says below characters. Set by default, so that's fine. And this means it's going to be underneath the characters. It's not going to be blocking the character's way. Then as for trigger, we need to change the trigger. So change the trigger to player touch. Don't change it to event touch. You'll find out why if you try that. You'll realize why. And then this is really this. So we see this contents bit here, and we can click this contents. If we click this like little diamond here, it's going to bring up a list of event commands. And obviously this opens up a window for us to try a multitude of things. But what we're trying to do right now is do a transfer. So on page 2, you'll find transfer player. You'll want to set direct designation for now. There is designation with variables, but unless you know what you're doing with that, obviously, given this is a beginner tutorial, we're not going to go through that right now. But yeah, if you select direct designation, you can select the tile. So again, you can select that other map. And then you've got the direction facing. So obviously you would select right. And then you can choose the fade. So you can make it fade to white if you want to. If it's going into a dream sequence, I don't know. Or you can have it fade to black. Normally it would be just fade to black. If you want no fade, you can hit none. It looks a little bit weird if you do. That's probably a little bit more preferable for someone who has a particular transition in mind that they want to just do there. And then there was also one other thing you can do to flare this up, and you probably noticed that in the event that we were looking at earlier, but they also added a sound. So you can also play an SE, you can play move. That's probably going to have some echo on my mic. But you can hit OK. You can cut that. You can paste that. And then that's pretty much that, really. So, yeah, obviously you can cut and paste if you want to change the order. But obviously we'd play that first. Now, there is something I'm just going to touch on very, very quickly. And I'm not going to go too in-depth with it today. But I would almost recommend when you're making a tile like this, and I would only do it once you know how to do it, is to actually do some of the contents of this as a common event. I'll show you an example of what I mean. So just a little bit, just touching on something a little bit more advanced. So right here, we got an arrow. This arrow here is a more detailed transfer event. So this one actually has a custom picture. And if you want a custom picture or custom image, just make sure you've got direction fix on under options, and you've got through on, and then you can select whatever image you like. This is my custom one. And this is a very specific event that I came up with. And this is my template that I use for all my transfers in the game. And it actually connects, it's got the transfer in on its own, but it also connects to a common event. And I'll touch on a common event very briefly in this, but what a common event does is it is a general event that you would use for multiple of the same thing. So for example, if you have multiple chests, if you have multiple transfer events, it's a very nice way to streamline things. And it also makes it a very easy way to edit those things. So rather than go into every single chest or every single transfer event and sort of changing each one individually, I can go into this common event here and I can change that common event at 102. I'll go into that a little bit next time. It's a little bit more complicated, but if you already know what a common event is, you're already going to understand. You're already going to understand what to do in that scenario. And I highly actually recommend you do that for any treasure chest that you have. I've actually done that here for a treasure chest. We'll go into a treasure chest guide maybe a little bit into the future. And that's pretty much it for a transfer event tutorial today. You've seen it working and all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully you go far with it. Have a good one. Hi there guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, feel free to share it with your friends. And if you have a question that you want me to answer, feel free to leave a comment below. It might be featured in a future video. That's really all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time.